Hello, you beautiful souls. Welcome to another week of Awaken and Align. How are you all doing? For those of you who don't know, I don't necessarily publish this, so my bad. You can also watch the video recordings of this podcast on my YouTube channel. I will link it in the show notes. The reason why it's not as consistent as the podcast episode is because some of my guests don't want to be on video, so I don't post every time that they are a guest. But since it's just me and I decided to make more of a commitment to do this video format, to also include visual, here I am. So you could find most of the episodes with me on my YouTube channel, which I'm trying to grow after this Mercury Retrograde in Aquarius, which we will talk about in a second. But I just wanted to welcome all of you who have been with me from the beginning, from Chase Wild Hearts and even after Chase Wild Hearts, and any new listeners on here. I just wanted to give you a glimpse into what it's like to spend a hour or less with me if you do participate in our circles, our weekly circles, because a lot of you have been asking me what it entails and what it's all about. So it really is kind of what I do with these seasonal updates, with these cosmic updates, and kind of what I share about my own life in a more in-person, in-depth way. But I just wanted to give you a little taste of it because what I love about our weekly circles is we do get to share on a more deeper level, and you get to ask me questions. Not that I am, this wise guru, but that you see me on Instagram and you see me on TikTok in a certain way, in a more curated way, and I want to show up more authentically in all forms. And when I go through certain things in my life, I don't share all of it with everybody on a bigger scale because first of all, I want privacy for my own life, and I only allow people who I trust into that circle of what I'm really going through. So not that I have like a vetting system for you to join our circles, but I can feel by the energy and by what I'm putting out as well who I'm attracting in. So I really do keep a tight knit circle around, and everybody who joins the circle is of a heart-minded community. We all want to be there for each other, to help each other grow. And it just is like, I mean, you just have to join and see it for yourself because it is such a wonderful community, and it has been something that I've been looking forward to every week. In the beginning, I was so hesitant to create a circle because that would mean that I would have to commit to it every week. And I don't know if you know me, but I have a fear of commitment a little bit, which I'm working on. I like to feel free with my schedule and with my time and where I am in this world. So I always had this limited belief that if I did something like this on a weekly basis, that it wouldn't free me up for other things. But what I found is that I love it. I love showing up. I love holding space, and I love riding along other people's journey and seeing their own growth. And the ladies who happen to be ladies, but men are welcome, or anybody who identifies as anybody is welcome. um, since they joined me from the beginning, I've just seen, and not with only just my circle, it's because they have committed to themselves this growth, that it's just really nice to see. And that it's also, nice to see that everyone is going through something in their own journey, and that you're not in this silo, this island by yourself. So usually what I'll do is, I mean, these circles are usually around some kind of cosmic shift or a moon cycle. So new moon, full moon, and then the ones in between are usually about the cosmic shifts, but also like what's going on in this world, right? Like I am very into embodiment. So we don't just talk about what's happening up in the heavens. We really also bring in how we can apply this to our everyday lives, which is why people I think, crave these types of spaces because we're not just in the 5D realms. We're not just these divine beings, and we're not just human beings. We're both, and we're both navigating both spaces. So past circles have been around astrocartography. I went through that, and it's almost like some of them act more as classes with me, like teaching versus like a circle, but we always have time to share. A past circle was about, and if you don't know what astrocartography means, it's just the energetic spots in the world that works best with your own energy. And there is an astrology to that. Also, like the other transits that aren't as much as widely talked about in the circles that aren't astrological based, but I bring in because they are just as important. Trying to remember the other circles. We just did one on sexual energies and how to use those energies to manifest, and how that helps you be creative and create the life of your dreams, really, because sexual energies is the energies of feminine and masculine energies, the being and the active. It's not just about having the physical form of sex, it's the literal energy within your system. Um, and yeah, I've had now 2 guests speak in our circle. So when you are a circle member, you get to attend these special ones for free. And I can't remember all the other ones that we did, but there have been some really good ones. I have a very short-term memory in one year and out the other year. But I start really by going over these cosmic energies and how to embody them and how to use them, because I believe energy is, it is us, it is within all of us. And cosmic energies, you know, when we have Mercury retrograde, when we have full moons and new moons, these energies are not good or bad, they're all neutral. But it's how we react to them and how we use these energies for our benefit that makes the difference. And I consider it to be like a 50-50 exchange. These energies are here for your benefit because I believe we live in a benefic universe, but it takes 50% of your, actually 100% of your participation. You need to do something, take action in some way, whether that's mentally, emotionally, physically taking action, or a combination of all three. So it's not going to be like, you know, the full moon happens and you're going to manifest the man of your dreams or the woman of your dreams. You have to use that energy and take action in some way, like put yourself out there, work on yourself, um, call that person that you like. You know, it's not just about sitting back and letting the universe sweep you away. It takes participation from you. And what I realized about even reflecting back on my own spiritual journey is that I did it most of it alone when I was going through my awakening, because I didn't have a community that I found at the time. And it was really lonely. It was incredibly lonely because I was looking into topics like lucid dreaming, and I was getting into tarot, and I was getting into astrology, and I was like researching things to help better myself and going into this spiritual journey. And that kind of language and that kind of interest was just wasn't a part of the friends group that I was a part of, to no fault of their own. It was just I needed to find people and spaces that were interested in that kind of stuff at the time. So I actively had to look for those circles. I actively had to look for those friends in my life. And once I did, I'm able to share myself fully. I'm able to just now, having that support, show up on Instagram, show up on TikTok, and not be afraid of being judged, even though that's going to come with life, right? Everything that you do that's a little outside of the realm of quote unquote normal, people are going to look at you and be like, what is she smoking? What's happening here? But I just truly, truly believe that at the heart of everything that I've studied so far, and I've said this so many times in different ways, in all of the different religions and philosophies that I've learned, in all of the systems that I've learned, and Eastern and Western spiritual practices and healing modalities, at the end of the day, the only truth that is real is that we are all a part of this divine oneness, universe, life force energy, creator, divine, spirit, God, whatever you want to name it. I call it all of those things, to be quite frank, is inherently what we are and who we are. And when we remember that, we have the responsibility and the power to create the life that we want to live. And in turn, we take the onus on ourselves. We can't blame anybody. We can't blame our situation. We can't look outside of ourselves for the solution, because I believe that God is within us, but God is us. And we are all little parts of that, every single one of us. And that's a hard pill to swallow, even to this day in my moment to moment practice, because there's people out there, and I won't name names because this isn't about hating, but certain politicians and certain leaders who I'm like, how could it possibly be that we are a part of each other, right? Like, how is that possible? And maybe I will never understand that. And maybe I will never get it. And maybe I don't need to. Maybe I just need to keep focusing on healing my mind, healing my past, letting go, transmuting, and moving forward. And that gives me such a sense of relief that the only person that I am responsible for is myself, that I can't change X, Y, and Z. I can't change that person. And my job isn't to swoop down here and change anybody's mind or heal anybody or evangelize anybody or colonize anybody's minds, but only to share what I know, only to share the wisdom that I've learned that is based on the truth. And this is the truth of the divine oneness, and that the only laws that matter are the laws of the universe, which I am going to make into an actual entire podcast episode. So look out for that. It's going to take me a little time to get everything together, but all of the things that we've learned up until now in your own schooling system, from your parents, from anybody, I'm just going to invite all of us, because this is what I've been doing in the last year since 2021, is to just clear my mind of everything that I think I know, and to just start with the basics of the truth of life is that there is only divine oneness, that is the only thing that's true. And some people call it love as well, unconditional love, agape love. And I'm doing the Course in Miracles right now with Nikki Morissette, who is also on this podcast. She was a guest. But it is that idea that there are only two beliefs in life, and that the only thing that is real is love. So you can either choose love or you can choose fear. And by love, again, not looking at it from a romantic perspective, but an unconditional love, the love that is God, versus fear, which is not even real, it's an illusion. And we also had Sheetal Rajan on, who she taught an entire workshop about Leela, which is the divine oneness, right? Maya, which is the illusion. And this is all an illusion. This is all a matrix. This is all a reality based on our own perceptions. So I like to call it a video game, or a game, a simulation, if you will, because illusions just sound like way too, illusions doesn't sound good to me. So I'm going to call it a simulation or a game. And the way you want to play this game of life, the way you want to experience it, is 100% reliant on your belief, your perceptions, and the way you feel. And like dreams and going into the dream state, going into the sleeping state, when your conscious mind is turned off and you're completely just running in your subconscious, you can astral travel, you can lucid dream, you can go into different dimensions because you're not limited by your conscious mind. But just in the same way, when you are awake, it's also a dream. It's a dream that you consciously create through your thoughts, your perceptions, your beliefs, your feelings. So knowing that gives you so much power, because the only thing that you need to do, and that is the work, is to look at the thoughts you think, the beliefs you have, how you perceive your life and yourself and everything around you, and how you feel. And everything that is your game of life, your simulation, your reality is a reflection of that. And I don't know why I forget this all the time, because I do, because I'm still a human. But anytime I get caught up with the illusion of life, right? Like finances, paying bills, taxes, and all the things in life that we're just like, ugh, like, why do we have to do this? I remember that this is just an illusion. This is the game. This is the game that we've all agreed to. And we're all in a collective illusion. We're all in a collective game that we've all agreed upon, such as money. We've all agreed that money is a value. This is how we exchange things. We've all agreed that certain things are said and certain things are not said, right? Like, there was an unagreed, like, written down thing in our society that we all go to school, that we all go to college, and we get jobs, right? But that's not written anywhere. It's just like these contracts and agreements that we all make with each other and within ourselves, because maybe we're afraid to do things on our own, maybe we're afraid of what people will think, or maybe we're afraid to just try our own thing. There's no good or bad, there's no guilt or shame around this. This is just how we've chosen to see life. So once you realize that you do have a choice, that you can do it a different way, then you plug out of this, like, societal cultural agreement that maybe you don't want to go to college, or maybe you don't want to be in a 9-to-5 job, but everyone else is doing that. That's when you might experience some friction, tension, people judging you, people being like, what is she doing? And even within yourself, like, you have to keep affirming to yourself that this is the right thing to do, like listening to your intuition, knowing who you are. But it can be tough, right? Because we all want affirmation, we all want validation. And I think that's why I finally did this, what I'm doing now, later on in my life. I'm still freaking young here, but in my later 30s, because I needed to build up that confidence for myself to stand on my own and say, no, like, I already did the whole corporate America thing. I did the whole education thing, and now I'm going to try something else. And I don't know if you've noticed, but these Gen Zers, I really like them. I really love their energy, because they just come out of there knowing who they are and what they want. And they're like, no, I don't even have a gender. I don't even have a sexual preference. I am just who I am, and you have to accept that. Like, I respect that so much. But anyway, again, like, I really do believe that we all have to remember the basis of what is really true and what is just this agreed upon truth, right? And with Gemini being our collective North Node and Sagittarius being our collective South Node, and this is something that, if I remember, I will link this IGTV down in the show notes, but I did an IGTV about this last summer when the nodes of the moon changed. And I said that the biggest thing that we as a society has to do collectively is to let go of our old beliefs, which is around what we think is true, our religious, upbringings that are tied to fear and control. And Gemini being the energy of new ideas, of seeing things in a different way. And that being the North Node is where we're going to go. The shadow side of that is there's going to be so many different truths, so many different beliefs, because that's the nature of Gemini. But how you will be able to discern that, and Erin Eber, who is a guest on this podcast as well, talks about how to discern things. But my suggestion to you is discernment is just tuning into yourself, tuning into your own intuition. And intuition is something that we all have. Quieting your mind and asking yourself if that is your truth, and if you believe that is your truth. Because somebody walking around, right now I'm recording this on February 23rd, 2021, so we're still kind of in a pandemic, but not in a pandemic. There are people walking around believing that it doesn't exist, and that's their truth. And then there's other people who believe so deeply that it exists, and some people in between, but everyone believes that their truth is their truth. So what is the truth? Nobody really knows for sure. And that's why with all these conspiracy theories and all of these different ideas of what's happening, I always like to explore all options. And I've had many guests on before, I even looked into conspiracy theories, who now have revealed themselves as supporters of certain ideas that I'm not necessarily a supporter of, but I like to believe that there's room for different truths as long as they're not hurtful, fearful, and based in violence or racism. That the actual truth of the message is of love, unconditional love, going back to the one truth that I spoke about in the beginning. So I am a curious person, as you all know, which is probably why I have a podcast in the first place, because I want to learn about different topics, different ideas, and different philosophies. And really, I take it upon myself to discern what is true for me and what I want to take forward with me and what can I leave behind. So I really hope and I really invite you to do the same, because there's so many truths out there, and I can't even begin to tell you, like on a daily basis, I hear things and I'm like, how is that even real? How is that even possible? But hey, anything is possible at this point to me. So with that being said, this is all tied so beautifully to the energies that we're kind of leaving behind and where we're being invited to go now, since it is already Pisces season. We're 5 days into Pisces season. But before we start all that, I don't know if you know this about me, but I love divination and I'm so into tarot, as you know from my last guest, Grace Duong. But I pulled us a card and it was so perfect for this whole entire message of Pisces season that I wanted to share it with you. And again, this is a little insight into the circles and how I introduce topics, the energies, and how we talk about them and how we embody them. So I hope you're still listening, and I hope you're still along for the ride. And I hope that I'm making more sense than I did during my Mercury Retrograde episode in Aquarius, because this Mercury Retrograde that we just passed was messing up my mind. It was in my third house of communication and the mind, and my moon and my Venus are in Aquarius, and Saturn and all of those planets were rubbing against those personal planets, and I just couldn't think straight. I couldn't even speak. So I feel more grounded now. I feel more like out of the air and more into this earth, and I feel back to myself with a great social media break. Very good for mental health. But anyway, again, if you're listening to the audio version of this is, you can watch the YouTube version to see the actual visual of this card that I'm showing here. But this is from the Wisdom of the Oracle divination cards, and I really love these cards because they're just so beautiful, the artwork. And I will describe the artwork for you. It's number 50, so that is a 5. So 5 is actually the universal year of this year, 2021. It's the energy of change. It's the energy of moving forward. And there's the background is of this purple and blue pink sky with a home in it, flying around, and it says, "No place like home." It's so beautiful. So I'm going to read you the card. Authenticity, coming home to yourself, feeling at home, arriving at a place where you just fit, being comfortable in your own skin. I'm sorry that this little light is not showing it. Okay, here we go. Home feels safe and secure. It's a comfortable place to rest and create, a place that is known and you can call yours. This card signals that your ability to trust yourself and feel at home in your own skin is beginning to solidify as you claim your dignity and integrity, aspects of yourself no one can take away from you. You know who you are. You hold your head high, yet with neither pride nor humility. Instead, you stand as the observer, seeing through the eyes of your soul. This puts you in a position of power and strength. Authenticity is your home. You are safe here in the house of your spirit, lowercase spirit and uppercase spirit. How beautiful is that? So this card embodies exactly the energy of right now. So we just left Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. It went direct on February 3rd, 20th. So 3 days ago, but we're in the shadow period. So Mercury retrograde is not an astronomical thing, it's an astrological thing where it moves backwards in the zodiac. So it started at 11 degrees of Aquarius. It went forward to, I believe, 26, and then it went back, which is now, and then it's going back forward. So right now, the next like 10 days are considered a shadow period. So right now, Mercury in Aquarius is at 11 degrees, which was, I think, back in mid-January. So whatever things happened in mid-January up until now, and you've reviewed all of that stuff in whatever topic of your life Mercury in Aquarius is in, now you're having a second chance at reviewing and revising all of that stuff now that Mercury is going forward. Now, what does this mean to the regular layman's person that's like, Laura, what the heck are you talking about? Mercury retrograde, if you want to really know in depth, you can listen to that episode. But it's an invitation for us to review and reflect, because in our modern life, we rarely give ourselves that opportunity. I mean, I can speak for myself when I say I never gave myself the time. And I was just talking to my girlfriend, Ashley Nelson, who I used to see a lot when she lived in New York. And I lived in my sister's apartment all of 2018 and 2019, and I would commute to the city every day, and we would work together. And we were just hustling like constantly 24/7. And I remember telling her in 2019, before the pandemic, I said, I just want to live a life of peace. Like, I don't want to constantly be hustling like this. But I didn't necessarily know how to stop. I didn't know what that looked like because I never lived like that before. I'd always been going. And if you have ever lived in New York City, you know exactly what I mean. And the pace of life is conducive to the lifestyle there. And I mean, let me be honest, like I had FOMO. Every time a friend group would go out or anytime something would be happening, like I felt like I needed to be involved in some way. Then 2020 happened, and it was this like huge opportunity for me to finally just stop everything. Because if you've been following me since before 2020, you know I completely 100% shifted my entire business. Like, it's not even the same as it was before. It gave me the opportunity to take moments of pause, to take moments of rest. And when I finally really started studying astrology and really tuning into the cycles of nature, we're not meant to constantly go. We're not meant to constantly hustle. And we were talking about it this morning. We were texting each other. She's moved to Texas since then. But I was telling her, like, remember when we used to just hustle all the time? Like, what the heck were we doing? Right? But I just feel so much more at peace. I look better. My skin is better because I gave myself rest. I allowed myself to just rest. And Mercury retrograde is that time for all of us. It's 3 weeks, and some of you are going to be like, oh my God, 3 weeks is so long. But is it really? Mercury retrograde happens 3 times a year, and each time is 3 weeks. So that's like 9 weeks out of the year in a year that has 52 weeks. It's not really that much. So it is an opportunity for us to take a step back, review all the things that we've done, and really see if we want to take it forward. And I really needed that time, to be honest with you, because Aquarian energy moves fast. It rules the internet, technology, the mind. It's, yeah, fast. I don't know how else to describe it. So I really needed a pause to reflect on how I want to show up on social media, how I want to use my voice, how I want to continue with my business, because my business is so much on the internet. I have a podcast where I share my voice. I have, all my social media channels, which is how I do my business. And I do weekly circles, which is also on Zoom. So I was like, do I even want to do all of this still? Like, and how do I want to do it differently? That's also Aquarian. Aquarian is like thinking outside the box, doing something different. And I made a list actually of the last 20 years of my life. And for me, it was 20 years because I feel like I've gone full circle here. So 20 years ago, I was 18 years old and I just graduated from high school. And that to me signified a moment in my life where I was no longer a kid and I was, in my mind, able to make decisions for myself. And so every year for 20 years, I wrote down like what I decided to do and it to the best of my ability, like what I did with my life. And then I distilled it further down into saying, did I make those decisions based on what I thought I had to do, based on social conformity, cultural expectations, and was it out of fear or love? And I have to say that I think 75% to 80% of the decisions I made in the last 20 years were based on social conformity, cultural expectations, and fear. Anytime I went back to working in corporate America, it was because of fear of money, and I wanted security and the perception that I couldn't do it on my own. And 25 to 20% of the decisions I made, like quitting my job, leaving relationships, and just doing something random, was actually based on love, like taking a chance on myself. So my commitment after Mercury retrograde and from this moment forward, I want to live life fully based on love, fully based on having faith in the divine, in the universe, in my own power. Because again, we are that creative power. All the power and the glory and the beauty and the love is us. So if I truly believe that, then I have to make I have to claim that. I have to make a declaration of independence for myself. I have to say that going forward, I want to do things that truly make me feel alive and that I'm no longer allowing fear to dictate my life. And that takes moment to moment decision making, because I also realize that it's not the big decisions, it's the small in between decisions that sum up your life. So, like, after I get off this call, I can decide to have some fun and do something joyful and really activate that vibration of joy and fun, which is not going to make me money. It's not going to make me gain clients, but it is going to make me feel good. And I believe feeling good is what sends out a signal out into the universe that I am abundant and I'm happy, and I don't need to necessarily go hustling for money, hustling for clients. And if I truly, truly, truly believe in energy and that I'm a Wi-Fi signal, and every decision, thought, action, vibration I send out to the universe is coming back to me in a form of whatever it is, love, peace, money, things that I want to experience in my reality, this illusion that I've created. If I truly believe in that, then I would do that, versus fear, which is me like trying to get people to buy my whatever, my course, or I and this is why I have never done that. I've never pressured people like sign up for my thing or follow me or like my thing. I just don't believe in that tactic, because that to me has a vibration of lack and fear and of getting, and getting is activating the feeling of lack. So if I truly trust in all of what I'm saying and all of what I'm teaching, then I'm just going to do it. And I recognize now that that is a moment to moment decision. And it's not easy, because the illusion comes in, the fear comes in, and in the Course in Miracles, that is ego. Ego is the separation from you and source. So it happens so often that sometimes you definitely, at least for me, I need like a huge timeout. I need to, get back into my practices. I need to do affirmations. I need to do a meditation. I need to go for a walk. And all of these tools and practices, these spiritual practices that we use, are just to remind us of that we are a part of source. And the work, the spiritual work, is remembering that you are a part of source and that you are abundant and that everything you need is within you. So, and it is hard work, because you're gonna be reminded all the time of your separation to source, and that you don't have enough, and that there's lack, and that you need to do a thing, you need to study a thing, you need to heal a thing, and you need to X, Y, and Z. And I'm all about self-growth and spiritual growth. And I wouldn't be where I am without all those things and teachers and books helping me along the way. But I think there's a difference between coming from a place of being dependent on those things and coming from a place of wanting to better yourself from a place of wholeness. And that is so freeing. I mean, when I think about it and when I feel it inside, it already makes my vibration go up, because when I remind myself that I already have everything that I need, and that I am everything, and that I at any moment can change my reality too. Because another epiphany that I had during Mercury retrograde is that this energy, source, God, creator, is timeless. It's limitless. It goes beyond space and time. And that's why Reiki healing, you can do it through Zoom. You can do it through, you don't have to be near the person. And it's beyond timelines. Like, there's no past, present, or future. But the ego, because it's separate from that, needs time. It needs linear time to make sense of this world. So at any time, you can decide right now that you want to live a life of peace. You want to live a life of love and abundance. And it's not going to take you fucking 20 years or even 1 year. You can just decide that now, and it can happen instantly. So I just wanted to let you know on that. So man, I mean, I had a lot of epiphanies during Mercury retrograde. So thank goodness I took that time. I've been spending a lot less time on technology, on social media, and going inward and remembering these things, because again, the work is remembering that you are a part of source energy. And when you remember that, you create healthy boundaries for yourself. And it's not escapism, and it's not withdrawal, even though it could seem that way, but it's from a place of love, loving yourself, knowing that you're worth it, you know? With that being said, we are in Pisces season right now, which is a mutable water sign. And it's the last sign of the zodiac. So it is not even in this realm or the dimension. We just came from Aquarius season, which was about the collective, humanitarianism, groups, and the greater community at large. And now Pisces, which is literally, when I think about Pisces, I think of like, we are not even in our physical form. We are moving beyond space and time. And the glyph of Pisces is two fish, one above the other, and they're connected to each other. So one fish is going swimming up towards the east, and the other one is going down towards the west. And it really, really, really demonstrates to me this idea of as above, so below. So we are all multidimensional beings. And it cringes me to say these things now, these like words, because it's been so distorted and so overused by this new age community, that a lot of these words lost its meaning. But we are multidimensional beings, and we are limitless. We are infinite. And Pisces season reminds us of this. And again, going back to no place like home, the only thing that is real is our soul, our spirit, the part of us that does not die, and it does not is not reborn again. It is infinite. It is an energetic part of us that even when we leave our skin suits, it's always there. And again, that part of us is a part of Creator, a part of God. Remembering that and coming back home to yourself will help you throughout Pisces season, because man, Pisces season can be so many things at once, right? In the high expression and the light attributes, it can be psychic abilities, it can be intuitive and blending in. So you might experience like these intuitive downloads, astral traveling, lucid dreaming, and maybe even seeing, I don't know, aliens. I don't know, like, I believe in aliens, as you all know from listening to me, but you can definitely experience some out of body experiences during this time. But the shadow side of Pisces season are fears and escapism and illusion and being trapped. It's also addiction. And I have Neptune, which is the modern ruler of Pisces, in my first house, square my sun, which is, in the highest expression, psychic abilities. It's very intuitive, but in the shadow expression is being trapped in the illusion of this 3D matrix and having addictive things. And I don't know if I've ever really fully come out and said it here, but I have had many addictions. Most of the addictions were socially acceptable, like alcohol and overworking, over exercising. But it really took me 2020 to look at that and ask myself, like, what was I escaping from? What was the numbing or the feeling that I was trying to avoid? And it is looking within. It is that dark realm, because Pisces can be so expansive and so vast, and like, it's a limitless possibilities, but it can also be like, bah! Fear can be scary. And I shared this on my Instagram and my TikTok, but I haven't had a drink of alcohol since December of 2019. December 25th, so Christmas of 2019, because I really wanted to understand, like, why was I craving just being buzzed all the time? Like, what was I trying to be buzzed from? What was it? Finally, I asked myself that. And the more and more I looked into it, it was just feeling sadness and feeling my feelings, feeling lonely, feeling and like a lot of these feelings don't even have words because they're psychosomatic. These feelings that I had repressed for all of my life needed a way to express themselves through me, but I was just suppressing them. So I was so afraid to feel anything that I just drank, and I just kept working and traveling. And again, my addictions were socially acceptable, so I want to make light of people's actual addictions of substances and things that are harder to, not to diminish my own experience, but I definitely want to make that distinction because my addictions were socially acceptable by, I guess, like our society. I don't know. But nonetheless, I was abusing them. I was abusing alcohol. I was abusing all of these things that were at such an extreme that I was like, what is happening here? So in the tarot, Pisces is represented by the moon card. And again, I'm showing this card on YouTube, and this is from my friend Grace Duang's tarot set Mystic Mondays. And I just love how this basically encapsulates how I feel about Pisces season. So it's depicted by this picture of this feminine identifying figure sitting on a glacier or a rock, looking in between these two, I guess, mountains, and the moon is in the middle. So the moon and Pisces season represents our subconscious mind, the hidden realms. And what you see on the top, right, is just what you see on the top. That's our conscious mind. It's what we see with our eyes, how we have this like feedback loop of like, oh, I don't have money. And then, that reconfirms that feeling of lack. But there's all of this watery subconscious, and the subconscious is just neutral, right? Again, the moon is our subconscious as well. And the moon in astrology embodies our home, our inner being, our inner wellness. So in order for us to realize our dreams, both in the physical realm and the other realms that you believe in, we have to be able to look into our subconscious, our fears, and be honest with ourselves. So right now I'm reading this book, The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. Again, I'm like rereading a lot of these books from what I read back in the day when I first started on this journey. And I don't know if you all know this, but I have my master's in psychology. So I believe in the mind and the brain and the chemical hormones that come into play with all this stuff. So I just love this very, very fine liminal line between following our dreams and our fears, because they're one and the same. And whenever this card shows up in the tarot, it can be interpreted as your dreams and your fears. Because when you can face your fears, and that can be anything in life, right? It can be speaking, it can be actually, maybe you're afraid of your dreams, maybe you're afraid of success or fear of failure. But once you actually look at that in the subconscious realms of why that is, that's like the ticket to your dreams. I love the tarot. I love how it's all like connected, right? And how we move through Pisces season is in an embodied way, because Pisces is water energy, and mutable just means that we're shifting from one season to another. So Aquarius is like, it's represented by this cold energy, like I have my Venus in Aquarius, and that is the embodiment of the ice queen. Aquarius is a fixed sign, and it signifies in the northern hemisphere the fixed winter, like it's the dead of winter. And it's ruled in traditional astrology by Saturn. And Saturn is the planet of constriction, of contraction, of responsibility and discipline. So moving from that to Pisces season, where mutable water is like the ice is starting to melt away, the sun is melting, and the soil is starting to get muddy and like gooky, and it's getting warmer because we're getting ready for spring. We're getting ready for Aries season, where it's like action time. So right now, again, like exactly like water and this moon card I just showed you, we're in that liminal space of like letting go of the past, letting go of what we've learned, and like we're taking everything that we learned during Aquarius season and the Mercury retrograde, and we're leaving behind like what we don't want anymore. And it's not really formed yet because water has no container, water has no form. It's like we're kind of just like flowing, trying to like figure it out, trying to like, like in the phases of a butterfly, when a caterpillar goes, and I've used this analogy so many times, when a caterpillar is in the cocoon and it like melts itself, that's the phase I feel like we're melted and we haven't completely formed our wings yet. So we're in that phase where it's weird because feelings need to be expressed, especially feelings from the past, the old shit. And a lot of these feelings can be psychosomatic, meaning like they don't have a story, you don't really know where they're coming from, but they're coming up and you're like, oh, I don't like this feeling. I feel sad all of a sudden. Well, that's good news because it's being brought up. These energies are helping you bring them up so that you could release them. Because a lot of the times we don't have the fucking words to describe what we're feeling, right? Like all these air signs, like Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra, and the signs that are ruled by Mercury, which is Gemini and Virgo, they have the words to like articulate what they're feeling, sometimes thinking. But Pisces there's no words. This shit is just like meh. It's just like emotionalness. It's like tears. It's like I can't even have the words to describe this because it's old shit that I've never processed. So how you embody this and let this go is through whatever way feels right for you, whatever way you love. So for me, again, like I love dancing, I love movement, I love walking in nature, hiking, art, creating, laughing. I love watching TikTok videos that crack me up, get that laughing energy out. I love hanging out with friends, even though we can't really do that right now, at a distance on Zoom. I mean, there's so many things that don't even cost money that you can do to make yourself help yourself move through this energy that, again, we don't have the words to express. So in a psychosomatic way, like sometimes I'm so sad and I don't even know why, but I just need to cry. And I channel that energy through artwork. I channel that energy through singing, even though I'm not the best singer. It feels really good doing it. So this is a great week to come back home to yourself. Like, what are you afraid of? What are these subconscious beliefs that you've held? And maybe stuff from the past will come up, but it's a great way to release all that because there's so much forward movement because every planet now is moving forward. And we have a full moon in Virgo on Saturday that's really gonna come to light, and you're gonna have a lot more clarity because full moons, the two luminaries, are going to light shit up and you're going to have lots of clarity. So again, the full moon happens when the sun is opposite the moon and you have full illumination of something that you might not have had full information on. So Virgo is the sign of the healer, the server. It's ruled by Mercury, so a lot of the things that you might have needed more clarity on will come to fruition on this full moon. And if you've ever known a Virgo, which is my sister, hi sis, this energy is of purification, of letting go of, like, in a non-emotional way, because Virgo is an earth sign, but it is the most air sign of the earth signs because it's ruled by Mercury. Like cutting away what no longer serves you, like really being like, no, bro, you're not needed here anymore. And Virgo rules our day-to-day activities in terms of health. Virgo rules health and our work. Virgos are super disciplined. They make lists. They're very, very clean and organized. That's why I love Virgos too, because, and I have Virgo on my midheaven, which is, I won't get into all of that, but it is like this energy that we all need. We all need to have this disciplined way, this very clear cut, very strategic way of looking at our lives, because when Pisces season is so watery and there's no form and everything's like all over the place, we need this energy of Virgo to hold something, hold it as a container to bring forth what we want to bring forth in our lives. And again, I said that Virgo is in my midheaven, which is the placement in your chart, the highest placement in your chart, that rules your reputation and your career. So for me, this full moon is like really significant for my career and like what I want to bring forth, my legacy, like what do I want to leave behind. And this is beyond making money. This is something that's of service to other people. Again, Virgo is the healer. It's of service. It's of and Pisces is the same way. Pisces is the ultimate empath. Because it blends into everything, it can feel everything as well. And again, being able to love yourself and coming into your own home will help you create boundaries during Pisces season. Woo! So, that was a mouthful. To sum it all up, the main message that I wanted to leave you with today is that you have to remember, and I'm going to keep repeating this as much as I can in all my platforms, and this is really the legacy that I want to bring forth with me, is to remind people of our truth, of our inherent truth, of the wisdom of all the indigenous and ancient cultures that are all saying the same thing, is that we are one. We are part of this infinite intelligence, that we all have all the power, the glory and beauty and love within us. And our job is just to remember that. And our job is just to allow the spirit and allow this universal intelligence to work through us. We are all channelers. And that's why Reiki has helped me so much understand this, because Reiki is helping you to remember that you are receiving rather than doing. We don't have to do anything. We are it. We are this energy. We just have to channel it in our own way. So, all I wish for all of you, and my intention for everything that I do, is really for you to live the life of your dreams in any way that feels right for you. And ultimately, we just all want the same thing, right? We all want inner peace. We all want to have freedom to do whatever we want. We want abundance. We want love. We want health and wealth. And we all want to just have fun. Right? And I think that's why everyone wants to be rich and famous. Maybe not everybody, but there is this appeal to that, because they think that those things will get us to a certain level of peace and harmony. But it is the feeling that we need to feel now before all of that shit shows up. And that is what I've also learned, is that, And what Spirit keeps reminding me of every day is, Laura, no, it's here now. It's available to you now. You just have to look at it in a different way. You just have to be grateful now. You have to be love. You have to be joy. You have to be happiness. And where that starts is within you, always. So much love to all of you. And I hope you get like a little flavor of how these circles go. That's pretty much exactly how they go. I invite the cosmic energies. I go over the planetary movements. I talk about the embodiment, how to use these energies to your benefit. We share, we talk. You don't have to share. But it's always with the intention of bettering our lives and having fun along the way. So thank you so much for listening and sending you so much love. Bye.